What's good, everyone? It's Nick and I'm here with another trade reaction video, and I'm reacting to two trades. Both involve the San Diego Padres. Yeah, my bad, something's wrong with my camera, but whatever, I'm just gonna keep going. But anyways, this is huge. Blake Snell and Yu Darvish to the San Diego Padres. If you're a Padres fan watching this, you have every reason to be absolutely pumped right now. And before we begin, please remember to like, subscribe if you're new, and also hit the notification bell button. Also, rest in peace Phil Niekro, one of the legends of the game who just passed away. And now I wanted to get onto my reaction to Blake Snell earlier, but I just didn't get to do it as soon as I would have liked to. And then came the Yu Darvish trade, so I had to do more research on the guys that the Cubs got back for him. And also the guy from the KBO, Ha-Sung Kim, if that's how you say his name, but he looks like he's going to be a stud too, so I'm going to be reacting to all of that. Cue the intro. So first things first, because as you could tell, I'm a New York Yankees fan. I'm really glad that the Rays just got worse. They lost Charlie Morton last month to the Braves, although he had a down year in 2020. That's not what we're here to talk about. And then they just traded Blake Snell. Now the Yankees actually have had pretty good success against Blake Snell, so I'm not thinking, oh, we don't have to face Blake Snell anymore. That's not what I'm thinking right now, because in fact the Yankees have actually done pretty well against him. In his career against the Yankees, Blake Snell has a 4.31 ERA, a 4.35 whip in 77 and a third innings pitched through 18 starts. That's an average of 5 innings per start. I don't really know what the analytics are, but those are just the traditional numbers that I see, and it's not that impressive. So Blake Snell not facing the Yankees isn't something that I'm like, oh yeah, about. But the fact that he's not in the Rays, the fact that that does make them worse, that is something that I am happy about. Because Blake Snell is a really good pitcher, even though he's just not amazing against the Yankees. And yeah, game 1 of the ALDS, Blake Snell wasn't so spectacular either. But then again, throughout his postseason career, other than that, he's been spectacular. And even that game in the ALDS, he wasn't abysmal, he just wasn't anything amazing. The ERA will tell you that he was abysmal, but you shouldn't really rely on ERA just based off of one game. But really, even though Blake Snell doesn't have his best success against the Yankees, he is a really good pitcher. He won a Cy Young Award just 2 seasons ago. 2019, he had a down year, but he did raise his K rate, but also gave up more runs. 2020, he was really good again, a 3.24 ERA with a 31% K rate, and his walk rate was only 8.9%. His K rate was down from last year, but it was relatively close to what it was the year he won the Cy Young Award, which is 2 seasons ago. And for this season, he had a 357 SIERA. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. And it's a stat that tries to eliminate luck, because that can sometimes factor into a pitcher giving up earned runs, just to keep it short. But 2020 is a small sample size, and I'll show you what I got from MLB Nerds. So thank you again, MLB Nerds, for putting out this great post. And here's what Blake Snell did in a large sample size from 2018 to 2020. Here you go. At least for 2021, this will make it a lot easier for the Yankees to win the division. Now just please re-sign DJ LeMahieu already, and then it's a lock. Or if you're not going to be able to re-sign DJ LeMahieu, which I don't know how you can't, at least go get Andrelton Simmons or Tommy La Stella on a cheaper deal. As for Masahiro Tanaka or James Paxton, the Yankees will probably only keep one or the other. Tanaka's definitely not getting the kind of contract that he got when he first came to the Yankees, especially when playoff Tanaka was no longer a thing in 2020. And James Paxton was banged up in 2020 and had a pretty bad year, but to think he's not an above average pitcher when healthy, that's just foolish. Yeah, he will have those games when he gets roughed up, but more often than not, he is a very good middle of the rotation guy. But now for who the Yankees have to compete with in the AL East. Last year, or well, at the beginning of 2020, so it's not really last year, although it almost is, the Red Sox traded Mookie Betts to the Dodgers, and this made me really happy, not only because it made the Red Sox worse, but also because it made me able to root for Mookie Betts, because even when he was on the Red Sox, I didn't hate him, because he seemed like a really likable guy. And then the Rays just traded Blake Snell for a bunch of prospects. They got some really good prospects though, which I will talk about. But they're not guys that could really help the Rays win right now. Well, maybe Cole Wilcox could, but he's definitely not going to be Blake Snell, at least this year. But we'll talk about all that later. So as for the future of the Rays did trade Blake Snell to a team that did a really amazing job building their farm system for several years. So they got a really good return back. We just won't be able to see how good those guys will be for a while. Other than that not so great start against the Yankees in game 1 of the ALDS, Blake Snell has been a dominant postseason pitcher, and who the hell knows why Kevin Cash babies him so much, especially in the World Series. Hopefully Jace Tingler won't do this. He's not that type of manager, right? I do think Kevin Cash, as much as I hate his guts, is a really smart manager, but just he needs to let his starters go deep into the games, especially when they're dominating a World Series game. I 100% don't blame Blake Snell for how he walked off the mountain in that World Series game. What the f are we doing is absolutely correct. I don't think he was even at 80 pitches yet, was he? He was dealing, but he actually didn't go about it as a loudmouth in the offseason and didn't cause any drama despite that. Take notes, James Harden. But the Rays made him available anyways. And you know what else must feel nice for Blake Snell? He gets to go from probably the worst ballpark in all of baseball to a top 5 ballpark in all of baseball. For now, the Rays did just take a step back for the 2021 season. I just hope they don't make any under the radar moves that'll actually make them better. They're obviously not gonna go after any big names because that's just not how they operate. Blake Snell's contract isn't even really that expensive. It only is expensive for the Tampa Bay Rays, who are consistently rock bottom in payroll. Now I'm going to talk about the San Diego Padres. I thought when the Padres got Mike Clevinger, that was a huge W. He ended up getting Tommy John surgery, and he will miss all the 2021 season. So the Padres had to get another starter. They ended up getting 2 Cy Young caliber starters. Chris Paddock had a rough 2020 season, but he did show promise as a rookie in the 2019 season. And then you bring in Blake Snell and Yu Darvish, and if you get Chris Paddock back in 2019 form, and if Dinelson Lamet can continue to pitch as well as he did in 2020, in 2021, the Padres might not really miss Mike Clevinger, and I do wish him a speedy recovery. And don't get me wrong, a healthy Mike Clevinger is an absolute beast, but because of what the Padres have in their rotation right now, they'll probably be fine without him. Then there's also Joey Lucchesi, whose numbers may not jump out at you, but he's certainly not bad if you want some depth at the back end of your rotation. And same with Adrian Morejon, if that's how you say his name. But yeah, the top 4 in the rotation, it's crazy good. And then next year when you get Mike Clevinger back, if the Padres don't trade him, which I don't expect them to, Fuzzy, you said it best about what the Padres look like. Thanos with the Infinity Stones. So yeah, with these guys, with these starters in peak form, the sky is the limit for this rotation. And if the Yankees do face the Padres in the World Series, now yes, we do have the better pitcher out of all the pitchers that are going to pitch in Garrett Cole, but just the depth that the Padres have in their rotation, that's scary to think about having to face. So now I want to talk about what the Padres got back for Blake Snell. So first, there's Luis Patino, a top 100 prospect, and he's still only 21 and was 3rd in the Padres organization. He can throw 97 miles per hour. I think the Rays are going to turn him into a stud. It's only a matter of time. Francisco Mejia, who's a 25-year-old switch hitting catcher, he had a pretty good 2019 season in just 79 games, but last season he was just a hot mess. But hey, maybe he could turn it around in Tampa Bay. He was once a highly touted prospect, and the Rays are just really good at developing their players, and because he's only 25, he's still got plenty of time to turn it around. Cole Wilcox, a 3rd round pick this year, and we are still in 2020, so yes, we're at the tail end of the year, but it is still this year. He could potentially have an impact for the Rays this season. He's just not going to be Blake Snell for them. Blake Hunt, more of a defensive catcher than an offensive catcher, but the Rays will gladly take that because at least he can give you good defense behind the plate. So overall, I say that this is a win for both teams. Let me know who you think won bigger. Let's have a discussion. I say both are huge winners here. Although the other moves that the Padres are making, such as getting Yu Darvish and also Ha-Seong Kim from the KBO, they're becoming even bigger winners this offseason. So now on to Yu Darvish. So Yu Darvish got off to a really hot start in his big league career, but then he had Tommy John surgery in 2015, and we all know what happened in the 2017 World Series. But even with that, he did have something to do with the Dodgers at least getting there. 2018 and 19 were not good seasons for him, but 2020 he was back to being lights out with a 2.01 ERA, a whip under 1 in .961, 93 strikeouts in 12 starts. He pitched 76 innings last season, which would be an average of 6 1/3 innings per start. He averaged 11 strikeouts per 9 innings. He was back to being disgusting. He had an ERA plus of 2.21. Let's also look at the analytics though. His SIERA was 3.14 last season. He had an xFIP of 282, a K rate of 31.1, which was the same as 2019, but he walked fewer batters, going from 7.7 to 4.7, which made his strikeout to walk ratio go from 23.7% to 26.6%. The Padres also brought in Yu Darvish's personal catcher to come along with him to San Diego. Now, for what the Cubs got back for Yu Darvish, it made it clear as day that they're gonna tear it up and rebuild. So the first guy that they got back, Zach Davies, who put up a great ERA and a whip in 2020, 2.73 ERA and 1.067 whip, but he had a pretty bad SIERA at 4.32. His xFIP isn't good either at 4.14, so it's a good chance that he's going to go back to being a mediocre pitcher when he pitches for the Cubs. So now onto the prospects that the Cubs got. So they could be really good down the line for the Cubs, just they're not major league ready right now because the oldest one is 20 years old. The first guy, Reginald Preciado, a 17-year-old switch-hitting shortstop from Panama. He's probably going to be the best prospect for them. Then there's Ismael Mina, who's an 18-year-old left-handed hitter and a left-handed throwing outfielder. He's got some wheels and he looks really promising defensively. He could also be a pretty good hitter down the line. Yisan Santana, 20-year-old shortstop who doesn't possess a whole lot of power, but he can get on base at a high rate. Owen Casey, a 6'4" Canadian. Big dude, also a teenager, he's only 18. He does have a cannon of an arm and he's got a nice swing, although he could probably use more of his height at the plate. You tell me what you think if you've seen any footage of him. It's looking like the Cubs are about to rebuild, and good thing they at least broke the curse before they decided to go this route. They already non-tendered Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber did have a terrible 2020 season though, and yeah, they're just definitely looking to start from scratch. Now on to the last part of the video. Ha-Seong Kim. He's being signed to a 4-year, $25 million deal. Hey, the Padres are becoming spenders now. They have Manny Machado locked up until 2028 for over $30 million a year. Will Myers signed that extension in 2017 and has 3 years left on it. They brought in Yu Darvish, although the Cubs are still actually paying some of his remaining contract. I'm actually not sure how much it'll be, but they're just going to pay a portion of what's remaining on his contract. And the Padres also locked up Eric Hosmer, so for once the Padres are willing to spend. I don't remember the last time that the Padres were actually willing to spend money. In fact, it's probably not ever, right? Until they decide to start signing those extensions and decide to go big on Manny Machado. But now with Ha-Seong Kim, here are his KBO stats. Disgusting, right? Now, I was lucky to find more analytical data for him on Fans Magazine. A 4.11 WOBA, 141 WRC+, 12.1 walk rate, 20.9% K rate. Okay, he does strike out a little bit, but oh well, it's 2020. We don't mind strikeouts as much as we did back then. But he has a 304 BABIP and a 218 ISO in 2020. Unfortunately, there are no defensive metrics available for him, but his scouting grade gives him a 50-50 fielding grade, so he's going to be an above average defensive player. So great stuff, San Diego. I'm not a Padres fan. Obviously, you can see that I'm a diehard New York Yankees fan. I can certainly applaud what the San Diego Padres are doing. The Dodgers better watch out. The Dodgers are the defending champs, but the Padres are coming for you. Now, where Ha-Seong Kim is going to play, well, Jake Cronenworth is already at second base, and Ha-Seong Kim played some third base and shortstop in the KBO, but you already got Fernando Tatis Jr. at shortstop, my favorite non-Yankee, by the way, and Manny Machado at third base, so he's not playing there, so I guess Jake Cronenworth is going to move to the outfield. We'll see what happens, but either way, San Diego is primed to be contenders now for the first time since the late 90s. And that's also the first time in the years I've been watching baseball, because I only started watching in 2002. So, hey, if you're a Padres fan watching this, once again, you guys have every good reason to be pumped, and you've suffered quite a lot. So, hey, for those of you who really stuck around for all those bad years, you're getting rewarded. And even though I'm a Yankees fan, I'm definitely happy for you guys. That's the end of this video. Please remember to like. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I'll see you next time.